4 to 5 to see who is in the hot seat. You can watch and listen at http://studio21itv.wixsite.com/WAEN-TV on your computer or smart device. You can also call in and speak to our guest of the day at 404-474-0080. You never know who will be in the hot seat.
And good afternoon, folks. This is Electronic Dave, and welcome to the hot seat. My guest today is Robbie Wells. Welcome, Robbie.
Dave, it's great to be here today and to be able to get this message out to all your listeners. So congratulations to you on your new show, and honor to be here for the first one.
I'm glad you're here. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your Eaglenomics, which I saw on your website.
Yeah.
And if I understand it, but for those folks out there that haven't seen your website yet or don't quite grasp the concept of your Eaglenomics, why don't you go ahead and explain to the folks exactly what you mean by Eaglenomics?
Well, let me just tell everybody that's out there listening right now, first and foremost, my name is Robbie Wells. And in 2020, I will be seeking the Democratic Party's nomination for President of the United States to go up against Mr. Trump. So I truly believe that America will achieve greatness for the first time once the lines of separation that have divided our nation are completely erased. And that's what we're going to do under my administration. You see, whether you are black or white, young or old, male or female, gay or straight, Hispanic or Asian, whatever your religion may be, we can celebrate our differences because we've got one common bond. We're all Americans. So it's time for us to lay aside our differences, and it's time for us to stare down the fear of those differences with the face of courage. It's going to take somebody with a lot of courage to do that. Somebody that's got some courage and integrity, something I think we're missing right now up there at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. But if people want to go on and follow what we're talking about right now, they can go to riseupwithrobbie.com, scroll down to Eaglenomics. And again, that's riseupwithrobbie.com. Scroll down to Eaglenomics. Eaglenomics takes the absolute best from the left wing and the right wing. It gets our country and it gets our Congress working together again.
And we all know that we need Congress to start working together and not against one another. Too long, I think, we've had, the right wing and the left wing trying to pull apart rather than pull together.
Right.
And we needs to start pulling together now instead of pulling apart.
Dave, you're so right. Let me give you an analogy. If you think about an eagle, have you ever seen an eagle fly with one wing?
Can't do it.
It can't do it. It'll just flap around on the ground and kick up dust, and it's not going to do much of anything. It's going to take both wings for that eagle to fly.
Absolutely.
But in Congress, it's going to take both wings of Congress, the left wing and the right wing, for it to work correctly. You see, people have asked me, are you left wing or are you right wing? I said, no, I'm not like any of the former presidents. I'm neither wing. I'm the bird that sits in the middle. We'll pull both wings to us so that we can soar all the way to Washington and bring the people a platform that truly represents everybody. You see, I truly believe it's about time that we elect a president that can see the beauty in both wings, a president that doesn't just sit there and say, I'm left wing or I'm right wing, because if you've got a left-wing president or a right-wing president, basically he only represents half the people in this country. So how about a president that can see the beauty in both wings, and he can say, there may be a couple of things you're not happy with, but for the most part, we're going to give you an agenda that's going to give you the most robust parts of the left wing and the right wing that you've ever seen, so that we can all come together and work together and have a country that for the first time achieves greatness. First time achieves greatness. Our current president, he had the campaign slogan, Make America Great Again. That insinuates we've been great before.
Certainly does.
It does. But my question to you is this, Dave. From 1776 to 1865, we had slavery in place, right?
We certainly did, and that's a bad thing.
Was it great during that time for the African Americans?
I would venture to say no, and I think they would agree with me that it was not.
It was not. And then from the 1860s up until the 1920s, you had all the children that were exploited in the factories across this country. during the Industrial Revolution. Was it great for those children during that time?
I would think not.
No. And then from the 20s to the 40s, you had the Great Depression. You had millions of people that lost their homes, they lost their families, committed suicide. I don't think
jumping out of windows and God knows what else.
Yeah, I don't think it was great for them either. And then after the Great Depression, then you've got to look at the Jim Crow era. Once again, was it great for the African Americans during that time?
Nope.
It was not. And then after Jim Crow, then you go into Watergate, where we had a president that actually had to resign because he was going to be impeached and have to go to prison. That was a very sad time for all of America. And then you can go right on up. We had 300 people that were actually, or a little over 300 people that were actually held hostage for over a year in Iran in the 70s when Jimmy Carter was actually president. I don't think it was great for those people. And then as you keep on going up, we've gotten all these wars in the Middle East.
Right.
And we've lost millions of people from other countries and our country too. We've lost thousands of people since 1991 because we've been in constant conflict in the Middle East. Was it great for those families that lost their loved ones?
Of course not.
Of course not. So my question to Mr. Trump is this. Your campaign slogan says, "Make America Great Again." When was it great before?
Right. Pretty good maybe, but
It's been good at times, but it hasn't been great for everyone. So my plan is to erase those lines of separation that have divided our nation so that we can achieve greatness for the first time. Okay? And if you go through this platform, which is Eaglenomics, taking the best from the left and the right, you will see that we're going to do just that. In fact, the first plank of that platform is to bring all the people together.
right. And I think that as more people go to your website, and again, folks, that's riseupwithrobbie.com. Go to that website. Check him out. I think you'll be surprised that there's a lot more going on than meets the eye. I definitely support him, and I think you will too if you read what's going on there. Not just the Eaglenomics, but everything else as well. So check him out. Good man, the man that we need in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. I think we need to get rid of what's there. Or excuse me, who's there?
You may have had it right the first time, Dave.
Yeah, I think maybe I did. But certainly, I really support what's going on with the Eaglenomics. I love that platform.
Can I give a quick plug?
Absolutely.
We're going to be making a major announcement, making this official on June the 24th. It's a Sunday.
Right.
Again, that's June 24th in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, at the Caribbean Village Festival. You can go to caribbeanvillage.net and actually get your tickets there. There's going to be over 15,000 people there that I'm going to speak in front of. We're also going to have big-time artists like Bob Marley's son's going to be performing, a lot of other big artists, but it's going to be a major, major event. This is an annual event, and we're looking forward to this event. But I think that we can make a lot of noise right there in Fort Lauderdale, especially with my platform, with the things that we want to do for the people of this country.
And I think you folks ought to get your tickets now, because I'm sure with only 15,000 tickets, they're going to sell quick. So,
and the early bird tickets right now are $30 a piece. So you can, again, go to caribbeanvillage.net.
And you know what the price at the door is going to be, if there are any left?
I think it's about $50 at the door, if there are any left. But there's not very many left. There's less than 2,000 tickets left, I believe.
Yeah, so jump online, folks.
Yeah.
Caribbeanvillage.com.
.net.
.net, sorry.
.net.
Caribbeanvillage.net. Get your tickets, June 24th. Come out, support Robbie, and listen to him. See what he's got to say, and I think you'll be surprised. A candidate that's a real candidate that really tells it like it is.
You know, I want to take an opportunity to actually go through some of the major parts of my platform, just to let the people know exactly what we're looking at here. You know, we are the only Western industrialized nation that doesn't have free college tuition all the way to a bachelor's degree. We're also the only Western industrialized nation that doesn't have free health care for every American citizen. If you go to all the other Western industrialized nations, they're way ahead of us. We've got an educational system that ranks 36 in the world. I don't think that's good enough.
No.
There's
I would
35
I would
countries.
say that does not qualify us as great.
No, it does not qualify us as great. In fact, if you look at all the statistics internationally, the only thing that we really rank number one at is our mortality rate. Okay, we have people dying a whole lot quicker. Oh, and we're in the top 3 when it comes to incarcerations. You know, you can take all of Europe and put them together, the number of people in prison, and we still double it here in the United States.
Right.
We've got some major problems there. These are problems that have to be addressed. But my plan does see college education become free all the way to a bachelor's degree at all the state universities and colleges. It also eliminates the $1.4 trillion in student loan debt. My plan also has universal child care for the 17 million mothers that are feeling like they're trapped in a system that has failed them. Now we're going to give them the free child care for these children so that it'll free them up so they can go back to school and go back to work, go back to school and free tuition. And then once that is done, how about this? We're going to create millions of good paying manufacturing jobs to achieve sustainable energy independence. Now, let me tell you what that does. That's going to make millions of Americans a whole lot more happy in their paycheck, because we're talking about 6-figure incomes. It's also going to clean up the environment. We only have one planet. There is no planet B that we can go to.
Yeah, there's no place. There's no spaceship going, go here.
No, there's not. There is no spaceship doing that. But if there was, we could give Mr. Trump a one-way ticket.
Here you go.
Yes, we could.
Yeah.
It's
and
awesome.
I think we would all contribute
Yeah.
very readily. Here you go, sir. Here's your ticket.
That brings me to another point that we will come back to. But it's also going to get us out of all these wars in the Middle East. Think about it. Since 1991, you've had Desert Storm. Then after that, we had Afghanistan. We had Iraq. We've been in Libya. We've been in Syria. You think about it. Where have we not been?
And
in
we're
the Middle
still
East?
there.
Oh, yeah, we're still there in Syria. In fact, just about a week and a half ago, we decided, or our president decided, he was going to bomb them on an investigation of less than 48 hours on Bashar al-Assad having gassed his own people, allegedly. Now, here's the thing that I'm going to tell you. Back in 2003, we invaded Iraq because of weapons of mass destruction that did not exist. Okay?
Right.
Do you find it odd that we did basically the same thing just about a week and a half ago with Syria?
No, I don't find it all that odd, because it seems that we have a habit of doing those kinds of things.
We have a habit of doing those things, and now you've got to look at the individuals that actually made the decisions in 2003 and then just a week and a half ago, and you've got to look at, okay, what benefit was there for those individuals to make those decisions to put us in a conflict? And you've got to ask those hard questions, and it all comes back to oil.
Well,
It all comes back to the almighty dollar that's
All right.
made off that oil.
You know, my grandmother, many years ago, I say many, my grandmother's gone 3/4 of a century.
Right.
And she said back then, when she was alive, doesn't matter what it is, it all comes down to money.
It does.
Doesn't matter what it is, it comes down to money.
That's
So,
what Bill
okay,
Clinton that
oil,
says it's
money,
the economy,
it's the same
stupid.
thing.
Yeah.
You
Bill
know.
Clinton said it's the economy, stupid. And he was right.
Yeah.
He was absolutely right. So it's time for the people of this country to come together against these people that want to put us in these wars. It's time for us to come together with a perfect vision in 2020 to rise up and take this country back and to take it to new levels that we've never seen before. You're only going to do that if you've got somebody that actually is going to serve all the people instead of just half the people.
Yeah. Yeah. And not just the half that have all the money, because that's apparently what's been going on.
Yeah.
Although, they say one thing, but let's face it, most politicians have been talking out of both sides of their mouth at the same time.
Oh, that's what we say. Mr. Trump, he talks a really good game about bringing all the jobs back from China. He says, how unfair it is with China. Yet it's Mr. Trump that has over 12 of his products actually manufactured in China, dirt cheap, and then he sells it back to the American people, selling out the American people.
Right.
So now, I don't know about you, Dave. I think you're from Florida, which is considered the South.
Yes.
I'm from the South too, but where I come from, we call that talking out of both sides of your mouth.
Here you go.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm very much so from the South. I'm from the city of Miami. That, yes, it's very different from when I was
Right.
a kid, because I haven't been a kid in too many years.
I'm still a kid. I don't know about you, but I just turned 50 about 10 days ago, or about 2 weeks ago, I guess now.
Oh, I'm having a tough time remembering 50 because it was
Really?
too long ago. Yeah.
Well, from here
I'm
on,
fast approaching 65.
well, next year I'm going backwards. I'm going back to 49.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go down. But anyway, I think about the problems we do have with immigration, and we do have some problems there.
Yes, we do.
I've got a solution. My solution is called Service for Freedom. The reason we've got 15 million or so illegal aliens in our country right now, or undocumented people, I should say. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. The reason we have that is because of the system we have in place that fails everyone. And here's what I mean. We're supposed to be the land of opportunity. We're supposed to be the beacon light of freedom for everybody in the world. Yet, it costs a lot of money to gain your citizenship here in the United States. You've got people coming from Central and South America basically daily coming into this country illegally because they can't afford to do it the correct way.
Right.
So here's what we're going to do.
It costs almost $1,000
Yeah.
to do it legally.
That's exactly right.
I think it's what, $700 or $800 thereabouts.
Yeah, if not more.
Right.
It can go up into the thousands. It just depends. So here's what I want to do. I believe you win with people. You don't win with things. You don't win with building a wall. Okay.
I know. There's a wall I'd like to build right around Mr. Trump.
Well, it's funny that you say
With
that.
no door.
Mr. Trump has said that he's going to get Mexico to pay for the wall on our southern border.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. But I guarantee you this: on day one, I can get Mexico to pay for a wall around Trump Tower right there in Manhattan.
Here you go.
Guarantee you they'd pay for it.
Oh yeah.
So
but they got to make sure that he's already inside.
he's got to be inside. Yeah, he's got to be in exile. That's exactly right. No, but my plan is to quadruple our border patrol, and then once we've got a truly secure border, anyone that wants to come in our country, we're going to let them come in. If they can't afford to go through the process financially, then we're going to have the Service for Freedom solution for them, where they can go and serve in the military. They can serve in the local, the state, or federal government in different jobs, whatever, for 4 years. And during that 4-year period, they're going to learn the English language. They're going to learn the history of our country and what our forefathers went through.
Right.
They're going to earn a wage that's taxable. And at the end of that 4-year period, they will have earned their citizenship. It's called Service for Freedom. And here's the thing, Dave. It's actually already a law. We have about 2,500 people that go through it every year. I just want to expand it.
Right.
Okay? Let's expand that law where it'll actually cover more people, because we do want to make sure that we are the beacon light of freedom, where everybody has an opportunity to come here to pursue happiness.
Right.
And the only way that you can do that is if you give everybody that opportunity. You can't just sit here and say, oh, we're going to shut down our borders because we're afraid of this person or that person may have a terrorist attack. That's a needle in the haystack anyway. Okay?
Right.
That's why we've got the people in place and the different organizations in place to combat against that. So let's do what's right for the people of this world and continue to be that beacon light of freedom for everyone.
Absolutely. I'm sure if more people could earn their way in, they would be willing to not sneak across the border. They would seek that free way in,
right,
without having to pay to get in. They would do whatever it is on their side,
right,
whether it be Mexico or Canada or wherever, to get their passport or whatever it is, and say, I want to come to the United States. I want to live here. I can't afford to pay, but I'm willing to work to get here.
Right.
Okay, so it's 4 years of my life not doing whatever it is I did in Mexico. I was a gardener. I was a whatever.
Yeah.
But for 4 years to get my freedom in the United States,
And I'm earning a wage while I do it?
Yeah. I'm getting paid to do it, just not what I used to do. I'm doing something different.
I'm doing something different.
And who knows? It might be, oh, geez, I really like whatever it is that they end up doing.
Right.
They could end up building roads. They could end up working in city government. Oh, geez, well, it's not so bad working for the government.
And you never know. Some of those people may want to stay.
That's exactly it. So, okay. And so now we have more tax coming in.
Right.
So that helps.
More tax dollars.
That helps the government because we have tax dollars coming in that aren't being diverted.
And let me tell you this is how it also helps. Now you don't have people getting paid under the table cash that is going straight back to Central and South America, which is taking billions and billions of dollars out of our economy. Right. Okay. So it's going to increase our economy by going with this system, Service for Freedom, as well. So this brings up another point, Dave. Okay. DACA.
Mm-hmm.
The Dreamers. We've got a current president that signed an executive order basically undoing what President Obama did to protect over 800,000 dreamers. And let me tell you who a dreamer is. A dreamer is someone that came into this country with their parents, really didn't have a choice because they were children when they came. These are people that have gotten their education, have done things the right way. They're being productive in our society. Okay? They do not have any felonies. They do not have any major misdemeanors. We're talking about good, solid people in this country.
Right.
And yet we've got a president that's willing to take those 800,000 or so people
and send them away. Now think about this. Some of these people already, these 800,000, they've married, they've got families, they've got their own children. So now you're talking about splitting apart families. Right.
I think that's inhumane.
It's certainly not right.
It's not right. And when I become president, that is something that we will address.
What do you do with those children that were born here?
Oh, they're citizens. They are citizens.
Exactly.
They are citizens. So are you saying that to our current president, are you saying that basically you're splitting these families apart? No, we're not going to do that when I become president. And make no mistake, I intend on taking his office. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I intend on taking this man's office. And I'm going to do this for the people of this country. This has nothing to do with me.
Right.
This has everything to do with standing up and doing what I know is right.
Right.
And what I feel is right. You know, the definition of courage is doing what is right, even if it's not popular. I'm going to do what's right for the people. Integrity is doing what's right, even if nobody is watching. I'm going to do that too.
Right.
We need a little bit more of that right now.
Afterwards.
Oh yeah, people will see it afterwards. It's just a shame that we don't really have that courage and integrity up there in Washington right now.
Right. Whether it be at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue or in Senate or
either one.
Congress, anywhere. I do have a question for you.
Sure.
Speaking of Congress and so forth.
Yeah.
What's your feeling relative to those people in the Senate or Congress who served one term and then end up with a pension for life?
I don't think that's correct. It's not correct at all. There's got to be some middle ground that can come from that.
Right.
But the only way that you're going to do that is to have a group of young leaders come together under one umbrella and say, okay, we're going to go and we're going to run for office and we're going to go take the majority and we're going to do it this way. You see, Eaglenomics and the Rise Up movement is not just about Robbie Wells running for president. I've literally got hundreds of people across this country that are going to be running for office in 2020. So you start thinking about that and we get our people in there, then things really start rolling. But
right.
Yeah, we can make those changes. I don't think that it's fair that we have congressmen and senators that can stay there forever.
Right.
Okay, there should be term limits as well.
Right, just like there is for the president who can only serve 2 terms.
But the ones that are in there right now, they're not going to vote for that. You're not going to get a majority that are going to vote against themselves. Okay, it's going to take a whole new batch of people coming through. And that's where I believe that the millennials, these young voters that are out here,
mm-hmm.
that's where they're going to come into play real hard because they're fed up. They're fed up of the same old status quo that's coming out of Washington, the same old, same old. Okay? They're
Right.
sick and tired of being sick and tired. And guess what? So am I. And I know that you are too. And I know that there are millions of people across this country that are sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's really a shame that less than 1/100% of this country's population controls over half the wealth.
Right.
Think about that.
That's
think
a
about that.
real small
It's a
percentage.
very, very small percentage, a very select few people that have over half the wealth in this country. Now, to all you conservatives out there that are listening, I'm sure that you're going to say, oh, here we go again. He's just like President Obama. He's wanting to redistribute the wealth. No, I'm not wanting to redistribute the wealth. What I am wanting to see happen is those that are in poverty, I want to see them rise up out of poverty into the middle class. And those that are in the middle class, see them rise on up into the upper class. Okay?
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's what we're supposed to be about. You know, those elitists that are sitting right there, there may be a select few of them that don't want to see everybody get a college education because then they feel like, well, I'm not better than them anymore.
Right.
But this isn't about being better than anybody. This isn't about the black race. It's not about the white race. It's not about the Asian race or the Hispanic race.
Right.
This is about the human race. And it's not about being conservative America or liberal America. It's about the United States of America.
Right.
So let's do that. Let's lay aside our differences and work together to make this happen.
Right. Because if everybody had an equal opportunity for a good education, which is really what it's all about,
Yeah.
if we all had a good education, how much better off would we be with science, math, and everything else?
That's right.
Wouldn't we be better off? And of course we would.
Of course we would.
So why not, if we have the ability to go ahead and give these people that maybe have the brain power to go ahead and do well in school but can't afford it,
Right.
get there, get that education, and say, look at what I can do for the country because now I got that education.
Well, listen.
Wouldn't we be so much better off?
I hear the same stories everywhere I go. Here's what I hear. Yeah, I've been all the way across this country, and it doesn't matter where I go. If I go into a restaurant, whoever is waiting on me, usually it's a young male or young female, and I ask them, "Are you going to college?" 9 times out of 10, no.
Can't afford it.
I'm not going to college right now. Maybe I went for a semester, or maybe it's people that haven't even gone, but they can't afford it.
Right.
And so then very quickly I asked them, I said, well, what if you had a president that made college education free? Would you support that president? And they were like, yeah. So then at that point, I let them know, hey, I'm running for president, and that's part of my platform, and here's how we're going to pay for it. Because we know exactly how we're going to pay for it.
Right.
Okay? Same thing with healthcare. Healthcare, people will say, well, that's going to cost trillions of dollars, to have free healthcare for every American. Yeah, and it's going to cost even more if we don't. Okay?
Right.
But here's how you pay for it. You got to triple your tax base. How do you triple your tax base without taxing people through the roof? You got to create millions of good paying jobs. Right now, you got people that are working jobs where they're underemployed. They're having to work 2 and 3 jobs just to barely make ends meet.
Right.
Okay. What if we could switch that up and say, okay, Johnny, we've got a job over here that's going to pay you 6 figures. Do you think he'd appreciate that job? I think he would. I don't think he would mind paying taxes on that job if he knew that he was actually contributing back to this country, and the country is helping him, rise
Right.
up out of poverty or whatever.
Right.
So we triple our tax base, and then that's how you shore up Social Security, and that's how you make health care free for every American. Now, once we make health care free for every American, our veterans, okay, and I love our veterans,
Absolutely.
our veterans should be able to go to any health care facility in this country to get their care.
I think they earned that.
They have earned that. And then my plan is to take the VA centers and then reprogram them into more of PTSD centers. And here's why. We do a great job of training our young people to go to war. Our government trains them very well to go to war. Our government just doesn't do a very good job of training them to come home to civilian life.
All right. Now, I can't speak for everybody out there. Obviously, nobody can.
Right.
When I see someone that I know is either active military or I know they're a vet, I will thank them for their service.
Of course.
Always. I don't care if I know who they are or not. But without their service, we wouldn't have the freedoms that we have.
I completely agree. And that brings me to another point.
And I will also, many times, if I'm in a coffee shop or something like that, if I'm ahead of them, especially,
you'll pay for theirs too.
Yeah,
that's right.
For it, yeah.
I did that just the other day in Walmart. This veteran, he's coming through the line in his wheelchair, and he had several things he was going to buy, so I just got it. I'm a veteran too, but hey, we take care of our brothers and our sisters. That's the way we do it.
Right.
So yeah, and we need more people that are willing to do that for our veterans. I've actually, when you run for president, you need to be a big thinker.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be able to think outside of the box. You need to be able to think about doing things that's going to protect the people of the United States, but at the same time be constitutional. At the same time, make this a better country. We've got a lot of gun violence right now in our schools. On Valentine's Day, February the 14th, 2018, right down there in South Florida, 17 people lost their lives.
Right.
Because a knucklehead went in there, a misguided young man goes in there, a teenager, with an assault rifle. And he goes into a school which is considered a no-weapon zone. But to the psychopaths, that's an open target field. Mm-hmm. That's going to change when I become president of the United States. I actually have a plan that will protect every child in every school across this country. I came up with this plan because I'm a former educator for 20 years. I understand the problems with our educational system, and it literally breaks my heart every time I hear of gun violence in our schools. But we can protect every child in every school across this country by taking our veterans, screen them, and train them to get the right ones in place, put them all back to work in our schools as guardians for our children. It'll put about 500,000 veterans back to work here in the United States. The plan is called Vets for Kids. There's some other things that we can do to actually curb the gun violence. I am a strong advocate of anyone that's under the age of 21 not being able to buy an assault rifle. There's no reason for that. Now, I am pro Second Amendment. I truly believe that every law-abiding, mentally competent American has the right to bear arms.
And there's the key, mentally competent.
Mentally competent. If you're under the age of 21, maybe there's some that are mentally competent, but others, they need a little bit more maturing in there, okay?
Yep.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I also want to make sure that the bump stocks are outlawed. That's the apparatus that was put on the weapon or the rifles out in Las Vegas to make them completely automatic. Mm-hmm. That should be outlawed as well.
Right.
So,
what do you need an automatic weapon for?
You don't.
Nobody does.
You don't.
Except maybe our military. But other than that,
That's right.
I can't think of anybody that would need that.
That's exactly right.
Our military and maybe our police.
Maybe.
And I'm not even so sure really that the police need a fully automatic weapon. I mean, there might be an occasion, but
maybe, but probably not.
Right.
Which brings up another issue. We've got a lot of violence that is sprayed all over the news because of cell phones now and the cameras in these cell phones. The violence of police brutality.
Right.
Now, I'm going to say this. Probably 99% of our officers are good people. They're there to serve and protect the people in their communities. And what ends up happening is because of the technological world that we live in today, anytime anybody gets out of line, it's on camera.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be sent to CNN or MSNBC or whoever. Okay, we know that.
Right.
But for the 99% that are out there laying their lives on the line and doing the right thing, I applaud them. I really, really do. But I do believe that we can take some steps to curb the problem that we have seen with the police violence. Here's how. If we get the people off the streets and back to work, there's going to be less crime. That's number one. We can do that by creating millions of good-paying manufacturing jobs to achieve sustainable energy independence, which is what I'm talking about. That's number one. Which means, number two, we don't need as many police on the streets.
Right.
Okay, you won't need that. But then number three, another issue that I would look at is looking at our communities and making sure that the police department mirrors that community in the ethnic makeup. Here's what I mean. You had Ferguson. We all know the problems in Ferguson just a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a 95% African-American community being policed by a 95% white police force.
Right.
So if anything goes wrong, we're going to have some problems. We're going to have some major problems. That's got to change, okay? We've got to do a better job screening and training our police officers to make sure that we've got the right ones in place. So, it's a whole big conglomeration of things that we've got to do that we can make this country a better United States.
Right.
And we can do that. But it takes people with courage to do that. That's why when I'm going across the country and I see people saying, hey, I want to run for state senate, or I want to run for United States Congress, or I want to run for governor of Illinois, whatever, and I want to be a part of Eaglenomics. Okay, but I got to talk to you first. I got to know that you've got courage, and I got to know that you got integrity. Okay? You don't have to agree with me 100% on everything that we've got in this platform, but at least 90% of it, I would say, because it's just common sense. It's common sense what we've got. And then with those people that are running, if they've got great ideas, I'm listening to that too. Because I'm just one guy. One guy. Our movement's grown. It's international now. We've got people everywhere, across the world. Right. In fact, last year we went to India, we went to China, we went to Paris, France, spoke in all those countries. Okay? But I'm still just one member of this team, and it's Team Rise Up. I just happen to be the guy that gets in front of the microphone. That's the only difference.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at it this way, based on what you're just saying. An eagle can't fly with one feather.
No, with one wing, can't.
One wing or even one feather on each wing.
No, you can't.
Got to have a bunch of feathers.
Bunch of feathers. That's right.
So I look at it as each person in that group
is a feather.
Represents a feather in that wing. So got to have that.
Yeah, you got to have it.
I know that if we go back to the problem with the gun violence, look at what just happened in that Waffle House with that fellow with the assault weapon. Right. And the father turns around and says, yeah, they took my son's guns away, but I gave them back to him.
Yeah.
What were you thinking, Dad?
Yeah, and I don't know the laws there in Tennessee, but I'm hoping that they can hold that father accountable for that. I think
they should, if they're not, because the son's right to have any weapons was taken away also, and the father gave the weapons back.
That's right. It was taken away by the FBI and the Secret Service because just weeks before he had tried to breach the grounds there at the White House.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the White House.
I mean, what were you thinking, Dad?
Right.
You
knew there was a problem there.
Yeah.
That's right.
And you not one, you gave him 4 weapons.
Right.
What were you thinking?
Right.
So something's not right in that
Well,
house.
my hat goes off to the 19-year-old young man that actually...
Mr. Shaw.
Yeah,
I think his last name was Shaw.
Yeah, took the weapon out of this
guy's hand.
This guy's
burned his hand doing it.
He did
on the hot barrel.
He did, but he did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's young people like that across this country that will stand up and do the right thing. Yeah, Those are the ones that need to be applauded.
I mean, granted, he says he did it out of self-preservation, but
he preserved a lot of other people too.
Still, he did it.
He did it.
Don't care if he did it strictly out of self-preservation because he didn't want to die. But none of us want to die, and certainly not that way.
That's right.
I mean, our time is going to come when our time is going to come. But absolutely, I applaud that young man just as much.
I do, as well. Absolutely.
So I think part of what we need to do as far as helping to curb the gun violence is to make the screening for permits a little more stringent. I mean, I have a permit, and I've been through the screening. I know what it's like, and it's not that stringent.
No, it's not hard. It's not hard at all. I think that we could do a better job. If you think about it, you have to have a license to drive a car.
Absolutely. And I know people say, "Oh, it's my right to drive a car." Yeah, no,
it's not.
Privilege
it's your privilege
to drive a car.
That's exactly right. It's a privilege to drive a car. So, even though we do have a Second Amendment which gives people the right to bear arms, we've got to use some common sense with it.
Absolutely.
Okay? Because here's the thing that I'm going to tell you, Dave. In that Second Amendment, it talks about the right to bear arms, right?
Right.
It doesn't say the right to have the NRA.
Right.
Okay? Now, there's a lot of people out here with the NRA that may not like that statement. You know what? I don't really care. Here's what I'm going to tell the people in the NRA. I've never really thought much about having to pay dues to be a member of anything. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a member of this country because this is where I was born. Okay?
Right.
I'm a U.S. citizen. I didn't have to pay for it. Now, some people have to when they come here. I understand that. But when it comes to these clubs and these organizations, I just don't see the reason of having to pay dues to be a member of an organization that wants to make sure that children under the age of 15 can put assault weapons in their hands. Just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
None at all.
I don't think they have at 15. I don't think they have the maturity to handle that.
They don't. They don't.
I don't have a problem with saying that if you want to have a weapon, you have to be 21. You have to be 21 to drink.
Yeah, you
in
do.
most states, anyway. I don't know if it's every state, but
the only difference is if you're a police officer or if you're in the military. Now, in the military, they get strict training on how to handle those assault rifles like the M16s.
right.
Okay,
And they're at least 18.
and they're at
most
least
cases.
18, but they've had strict training. Okay,
Yeah, and they know how to take care of that weapon.
This guy up there in Nashville, he did not have any training at all.
Right.
He was just out to kill. There's a difference. The guy down in South Florida, he didn't have any training. He was just a psychopath.
Right.
Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and say this too. And Mr. Trump, you can say whatever you want to about this, but the young man down there that went in that school in South Florida and killed 17 people had pictures posted on his social media site with a "Make America Great" hat on. Now you tell me what you're promoting, Mr. Trump, and do not play with me.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have.
I mean, now that I'm on that subject, Dave, let me go ahead and say this to you. You got a president right now, okay, that's saying there's good people in the KKK, the white supremacist groups, and the alt-right. Think about that.
Yeah.
He's saying there's good people in there, okay? That makes absolutely no sense, okay? What about all the African Americans in this country? What about all the Jewish Americans in this country right now? Right. What do you think they felt when they had a president that said there's good people in those groups?
I took great offense at that, being one of the Jewish Americans.
Sure.
I took great offense at that.
I'm sure you did.
I have family that I lost in the Holocaust. Mm-hmm. I know people that said, Holocaust, that never happened. I'm like, really? Yeah. Lose some family in something like that and you'll take a different view. Mm-hmm. There is an actor, I don't know if many people know this story, but I'll tell it. Those of us who remember the show Hogan's Heroes.
I remember it.
Okay. The little Frenchman, Corporal LeBeau.
Okay.
Real name is Robert Clary.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if you ever noticed, you never see him in short sleeves.
Okay.
All right. Do you know why you never see him in short sleeves?
Probably because he was actually...
He survived the gas
Holocaust.
chambers.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that. He survived the gas chambers.
I didn't know that. Wow.
And he's got a number on his arm that he's hiding with those long sleeves.
Right.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, it was horrible. And the things that people went through, and it wasn't just the Jews that went through it. And a lot of people think the Holocaust was just about the Jews. Not so much. There were many millions of Christians that were also victims of the Holocaust.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
But a lot of people don't. And it was just the Jews.
And let me say this, okay? That was a horrible time.
It absolutely was.
It was a horrible time. But let me ask you, Dave, because not enough mention is brought about this, but under my administration there will be. Probably the greatest or the worst genocide ever to occur was right here in North America, when Mr. Trump's ancestors invaded this land and took it from the Native Americans.
Right.
and not only took their land, but then they were the culprits of a genocide that killed over 75 million Native Americans. So while that genocide was going on, was America great during that time for those Native Americans?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. Okay, so once again, Mr. Trump, when was America great the first time for those people?
Right. Yeah, not so much.
Not so much. Not so much.
Yeah, so, you know, his idea of let's make America great again, I'm waiting for the first time around.
Not many people know about the Trail of Tears.
Oh, I know about the Trail of Tears. I had a history teacher when I was in 8th grade. Her grandfather was Cochise. I can tell you about the Trail of Tears.
You had a very good history teacher, because most of the teachers that were teaching American history were not taught to teach that.
Yes. But, I mean, when your grandfather was Cochise,
right?
Yeah, you got firsthand knowledge.
You got firsthand knowledge of what was going on.
You know.
Yeah.
And I loved that history teacher. She was tough, but she was fair.
It brings me to this point. Mr. Trump may have a point. He talks about illegal immigration and how it's wrong. He may have a point there. If we go ask all the Native Americans if they're happy with his ancestors invading this land, they probably don't want him here either.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, go home, Mr. Trump. Go back to Europe, where you came from.
Where you came from. Right.
Yeah. But I say to those people that are here, not through the correct process, do what you need to earn your way.
Yeah.
Whether it's pay or work your way to get in.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have a problem with you being here. But I ask but one thing of you. My ancestors did it, so I ask the same thing of you. Learn the language of the country.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that that's so much to ask, because if you go to any other country, I don't care where you go to France. I can't say go to England, but go to France, go to Japan, go to
China, go anywhere.
Go to China. What do you have to do? You got to learn the language if you want to survive.
That's right.
Why don't we make them do that?
Well, again, my
should.
planned service for freedom is actually already a law, but that is included that they learn the English language and the history of our country. But that's already included in that law that's there now. I just want to expand that law. But yeah, right. You're exactly right. You've got to be able to communicate in the land that you're in.
Right.
For those like Mitt Romney's family, when they escaped America, they say they escaped America and fled to Mexico. Right. I wonder if they learned the Mexican language.
I'm sure
or the Spanish-speaking language. They had to.
In order to survive.
They had to.
I don't think that it's so much to ask of those people coming here, wherever you came from. I don't care where you came. Come from Mexico? Don't care. Came from parts of Canada where they speak French? Don't care. Doesn't matter.
Right.
If you came from Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, wherever, don't care. All I ask, if you're going to stay, learn the language of America, which is English.
That's exactly right.
I don't think that's that much to ask.
It's not. It's not.
It's only fair. Because if we go to your country where you came from, we have to do the same thing. And if you need help, we have people here that will help you. All you have to do is ask.
That's right.
It's there and free for the asking.
That's right.
You learn the language.
Now, I will say this. We do have a lot of Hispanic Americans that their native language is Spanish.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm not saying give it up either.
I don't want them to give it up. In fact, I embrace that. I embrace it to the point where I have taken years of Espanol myself, so that I can actually communicate with those that speak more Spanish than they do English. But at the same time, those that are coming in here, you need to learn the language. If you're coming from Germany, or if you're coming from France, or if you're coming from wherever, absolutely.
Listen, I'm involved with a young lady who is not from the United States. She's from Europe.
Right.
She speaks English and 3 other languages. So, if she can do it, and she did it on her own.
Right.
She speaks Russian, she speaks Ukrainian, she speaks English, and she speaks Greek. Can be done.
It can be done. That's right.
So I tried to learn Russian, and she says to me, "Do me a favor, speak to me in English. Your Russian is terrible." So
That's right.
I'm like, okay, but I'm still going to try and learn Russian because that's just the way it is. But I think it's only fair. My ancestors came here from Europe. Some spoke only Yiddish, some spoke German, some spoke other languages like Polish or whatever. But they came here, and to survive, they learned English because that was the language of the country.
That's right.
So if my ancestors had to do it, all I ask is please do the same. I'm not saying that you have to forget your native language. Absolutely not. In fact, I ask you, please don't forget.
That's what makes America so cool, is that we are a melting pot. And I think that some of our leaders right now have lost that understanding that America is a melting pot made up of beautiful individuals from all cultures across this planet. So we want to embrace that.
Yeah, I'm jealous of people who can speak more than one language.
I am too.
I can't.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I can't, and I wish I could.
Mm-hmm.
But I say, hey, here's an opportunity. If you learn the language of our country, which is English, and you speak, I don't care, whatever it is, you speak Spanish, you speak Russian, you speak German, you speak Korean, whatever. We have a place, it's called the United Nations. You could be an interpreter. There you go.
Good job, too.
There's a job for you built in because you speak a second language.
This is true.
Make use of it. And it's a wonderful thing that you can speak more than one language.
I agree. Absolutely.
So I say let's make use of those people.
What else you got? You got any more?
What else have I got? Let's see. Well, tell me what are your plans for what's going on in June on the 24th? And what do you have going on in Fort Lauderdale? What are your plans for that event?
Well, we're going down that Sunday, June the 24th, to the Caribbean Village Festival. And again, you can go to caribbeanvillage.net to purchase your early bird tickets for, I believe, $30. If you wait, it's going to be $50. And if you wait too long, there may not even be any more tickets.
Right.
Because there's going to be about 15,000 tickets, and that's it. There's less than 2,000 tickets left, from what I've understood from the organizers of this event. We're going down, and I will be making a huge announcement, making things official, per se, with my campaign in front of a lot of people in South Florida, people that have come to this country. A lot of them are immigrants that have come from the islands, that have come from Cuba. So that's going to be a very neat opportunity for me to be able to be in front of some of the minorities in this country. Now, here's one thing I'm going to tell you.
I'm not so sure that they're the minority anymore down there.
That's what I was going to tell you. It seems that the minority groups are coming and flocking to this campaign. The African Americans, Asian Americans, Native Americans, Indian Americans, Hispanic Americans. But when you put all of them together, those minority groups, now they've got 52% of our population, so they're no longer the minority.
I'm going to share a little secret with you.
Go right ahead.
Okay. A lot of people know that, at least in Florida, the white man is called the cracker.
And I know why.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do. Cracking the whip.
There you go.
That's right.
A lot of people don't know, but do you know who gave us that name? Because a lot of people think it's the black man, and it's not.
No, it's not. It's not.
The Native Americans gave us that name.
Exactly.
For the cowboys that came to Florida and were cracking the whip, trying to move the cattle around.
That's right.
A lot of folks don't know that that's really what that is.
That's exactly what that is.
It's the crack of the whip. So, yeah, you learn a lot of stuff on this show. Some of it's trivia, some of it's not, but it's still true.
But I'm going to tell you this too. Okay. 99% of our country is considered to be middle class and below.
Mm-hmm.
Did you realize that?
Oh, yeah. And more of it below than middle class.
Yeah. In fact, most of the middle class is being squeezed into the low poverty.
There's pretty much no more middle class.
It's about gone. Yeah. You've either got the ultra rich or you've got the ultra poor.
Yeah.
But I truly believe that we as a people need to start electing our representatives to actually represent what we are In other words, why do we want the elite representing us? We've got a guy right now that's president of the United States is a billionaire, okay? Or at least he says he is.
Yeah.
He says he's a billionaire, okay?
Yeah.
What does he know about living a middle-class life? He doesn't.
Nothing.
He knows nothing. And see, here's something that I'm going to tell him when I get the opportunity in the debates, and I do intend on winning the Democratic Party's nomination and going up against Mr. Trump. You know, he's going to try to interrupt me every time I try to speak, and I'm just going to look right at him and I'm going to say, Mr. Trump, you know, I signed an agreement saying that I would not interrupt you, and I'm going to hold to that agreement, but you are too, because, you know, I've earned the right to be here. Unlike you, I do not have a silver spoon stuck up my rear end, and everything wasn't handed to me on a silver platter. I've worked for everything that I've gotten, and I deserve the right to be here and to be heard because I represent 330 million Americans. So you're going to stand there, you're going to listen to what I've got to say because I'm speaking for the American people, or you can get the hell off the stage. I don't really care. I can clean this up and finish this debate by myself, but I'm going to tell him that.
Yeah. Somebody needs to.
Oh, yeah, I don't care. I'll tell him. Okay? You got to have courage, right? You got to do what's right, even if it's not popular.
There you go.
That's it.
So I know that many Americans initially were glad that he was elected, and now they're sorry.
Well, think about this. We as human beings, we make mistakes.
Yeah.
The question is, are you coachable where you don't make the same mistake twice?
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to correct the mistakes that we've made.
Yes.
Right? You remember when you took a test and you didn't do so well, but you had a generous teacher that said, listen, I'm going to let you go back and you're going to correct this, and then I'm going to give you an extra 15 points. And those 15 points would actually let you pass.
Here you go.
Okay?
And I know what that's like because I used to teach also.
Well, that's the one thing great about our election system. See, we've only got about 2.5 more years to go. And then we can correct
every day.
We can correct our mistakes.
Right.
Yeah, we can correct them. Let me just throw this out at you. You know, I did run in 2016. Okay, and this is where it's going to get very real for you, Dave. In 2016, I did run as a Democrat. And in August of 2015, we made national television on Fox News as one of the top 8 Democratic candidates.
Mm-hmm.
You saw the picture. There was all 8 of us on the screen. It was Hillary Clinton. It was Bernie Sanders. It was Martin O'Malley. It was Jim Webb, Lincoln Chafee, and then there's my picture right there with them. Okay. Well, Mrs. Clinton and then DNC chair Debbie Wasserman Schultz did their research. And, you know, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, we found out later on, she was in cahoots with Hillary Clinton to make sure that she won that nomination.
Mm-hmm.
But they did their research. They found out, and they knew that I could debate. And they did not want me on that stage debating Hillary Clinton, so they did everything in their power to block us from actually taking the debate stage. Okay?
Right.
So we were at the Democratic primary debates. We were just not allowed to be there. The first one was at the Wynn Hotel out in Las Vegas. The second one was at Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa. There was one in Charleston, South Carolina. The list goes on and on. I can tell you, we were there.
Right.
But we were not allowed to take the stage. Now, think about this. Hillary Clinton ended up winning that nomination, but losing to Donald Trump. Let's go back in time. Let's say that I was allowed on that stage. Let's say that I did run circles around Hillary Clinton. Let's say that we did win that nomination and I went up against Donald Trump. Let's say that I did defeat Donald Trump. Because here's the thing. I don't think Donald Trump won because so many people wanted him. It's just they didn't want her.
Right.
Okay? So let's say that I did get that opportunity to go up against Mr. Trump, and let's say that I had won that thing.
Right.
On day one, I would have signed an executive order putting Vets for Kids in place. Okay?
Right.
Our schools would have been protected. There's 17 people down in South Florida
That would be alive.
that would be
today.
alive today. That's when it gets real.
Right.
It gets very real.
Right. I think her biggest mistakes started with Benghazi.
Yeah.
That was one of her biggest
Libya,
mistakes.
Libya was one of her biggest mistakes.
Absolutely.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah.
And there were problems. And part of why I think people didn't want to vote for her is with what was going on with her mail server. Not the fact that she had it, but what she did with it should have caused her to lose her top secret clearance. Well, if you're going to have your top secret clearance yanked from you,
How can you be the president?
You can't, and that's the
Right.
answer. Now, the fact that they didn't take it from her because she is who she is,
Right.
so much the problem.
Right.
But if you were supposed to lose it, now how do you vote for somebody like that?
That's right.
And the answer is they can't.
They can't.
And now you have a choice between somebody who technically can't be president and somebody who you really don't want. Well, what do you do?
Right.
I suppose enough people could have done what George Bush Sr. could have done, which is not vote for either one of them. I don't know how many folks know he did that, but he didn't vote for president
Right.
in 2016.
Yeah, he just left it blank.
Absolutely. But then, and then, you get who the Electoral College picks in that case.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because she did actually win, I believe, a little over 3 million more.
Right. She got the popular vote. And that's
votes.
the third time in history that's happened.
Happened with Al Gore and George Bush too.
Yeah.
Who was the third one?
There was, I forget, it goes back a number of years in history.
Yeah.
But it's only happened 3 times in history where the popular vote was gone against by the Electoral College.
The Electoral College, yeah.
Yeah.
Happens.
So, anyway, folks, this is the end of the first issuance of In the Hot Seat, and this has been my pleasure to have Robbie Wells as my first guest. And Robbie, really, it's been a pleasure having you here, and thank you very much for coming.
Dave, it's been my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on the show so that I can spread the word to your listening audience. And again, for everybody out there, please go to the campaign website, which is riseupwithrobbie.com. You can find ways that you can get involved with this campaign. Of course, you're going to see all of our social media links, which will give you up-to-date information about the campaign. You can also sign up to get information about the campaign. So go to riseupwithrobbie.com. And again, on June 24th, CaribbeanVillage.net. Go there and get your tickets now. I will be making a major announcement at that event.
Absolutely. And get them in a hurry, folks, because there's only a couple thousand tickets left, and they're going to go in a hurry, I'm sure. So, again, that's CaribbeanVillage.net. And get your tickets. Get them while they're hot, so to speak.
That's right.
And we are out.